I had that kind of story of all of a sudden I booked a job on Avid and then thought, okay, I have to learn. And I'm so, so glad I did because now I love it. Hi, my name is Mimi Wilcox, and I am nominated for an Emmy for my work as an editor on Escaping Twin Flames. There was so much I enjoyed about working on Escaping Twin Flames. Getting to know all of our participants, all of our characters was really amazing. They're really brilliant and inspiring people, and that was incredible. The whole team that I worked with were amazing. We had a really wonderful team, and I felt really lucky to work in that environment. I think what really drew me to the project though, and one thing that has carried through as a real highlight of it, was just the levels of nuance in the story and in the storytelling. I think that, with a show like this, I think a lot of people are drawn in by the kind of drama of a cult, or this idea of like a love story too. And that's great, but I think coming out of the series, I hope and I believe that people come out of it not just having, been sucked into a really narratively engaging story, but also with a deeper understanding of coercive control and of gender identity and of the way those things intersect. Being able to work on a project like that was really, really amazing. And I really enjoyed kind of really feeling like we were able to dig into the nuances and to approach the storytelling in a really responsible way. And I'm really grateful that that was the approach that the team took to this story, to really draw people in with the narrative drama, but also there was really something deeper being said. Episode 3 of Escaping Twin Flames is, it's the final episode, and it's really where everything kind of comes to all the drama really leads up to that moment. Throughout the 3 episodes, we were really thinking a lot editorially about how to escalate. There were so many kind of horrors in Twin Flames universe, and we really had to think a lot about how to parcel out information and when to reveal which elements of the experience of being in the cult. And so I think in episode 3, you really see a lot of that escalation come to bear. At the same time, I think something that's really beautiful about episode 3 is that you get these really incredible moments of catharsis too, and you get to see some of our participants who are previously more isolated from one another. They meet in person, they connect, they rebuild. And I think I cry when I watch episode 3. I think it's a really moving episode, and it's also an episode where we had an opportunity to bring in some analysis from Dr. Cassius Adair, who brought some really brilliant insight into gender identity and the way that the leaders of Twin Flames universe were manipulating that. And I thought that Dr. Adair's insight was so important to making the whole story work. And I also just learned a lot from Dr. Adair and from watching his interview. And so that was, a really personally moving experience for me. And I really love how it all came together in episode 3. So we have a little group chat of the editors on Escaping Twin Flames. And so I think Inbal got the word first, and she texted us. And I think we were all kind of amazed. I definitely was. It was really exciting. I was sort of gobsmacked about it. And so it was really an amazing, exciting moment. And it was really great to be able to share that moment with the other editors. And, I'm based in New York, and the rest of the editors are based in Los Angeles. So for me, it's also just a moment of being excited that I get to go and be in person with all the other editors again, because it's really great to be together. So it was a really great day, and it was really exciting to share with friends and family too. The biggest challenge was definitely navigating telling the story of these gender transitions responsibly. And yeah, I spoke to that a little bit, but I think especially knowing that, Netflix is a major platform, we expected that there would be a large audience. So that just really made it even more important to really make sure we get it right. Knowing there might be people watching the show who don't have a lot of knowledge about the trans experience. I'm incredibly proud of the way we ultimately pulled it off, and I think that we approached the storytelling with a huge amount of nuance and responsibility and thoughtfulness. And I really attribute that to the team that Inbal and Cecilia, our showrunners, put together. I think they put together an amazing team of people, and they also created an environment where people really felt able to challenge one another. We definitely had some really spirited discussions on the show, and we would, have arguments, and I think we all felt safe enough to really raise concerns or challenge ideas and hold one another accountable. And that was so critical and was what made this show possible, that there was an environment where people really could speak up and be heard. And they assembled a team of people who brought a lot of different experiences and a lot of different insights, and really made it what it was. Media composer was such an incredible asset in working on this show. I mean, it was completely rock solid for us. As I said, I was working based out of New York. The rest of the team was in Los Angeles, with the exception of our story producer. One of our story producers, Zoe Bach, was also in New York. When I was working on the episode, I worked really, really, really closely with Zoe. We also had some incredible assistant editors. We had amazing archival producer and associate producers. There were all these different people who were working in the Avid, and it was totally seamless and worked so well for all of us to be able to collaborate in that way. It was really a great tool, and I'm really glad that we cut the show in Media Composer. I'm someone who is, self-taught as an editor and who didn't use Avid for many years in the beginning of my career. And, I had that kind of story of all of a sudden a couple of years ago, I booked a job on Avid and then thought, okay, I have to learn. And I was totally intimidated by it. And I'm so, so glad I did, because now I love it. And I think that it changed the way I edit a little bit too. I think just adapting to the way Avid works instead of trying to impose what I was doing before and make it work in Avid was so valuable, and now has made me, I think, a much more efficient editor across the board. My number one piece of editing advice, particularly for folks just starting out, is that, and I'm sure it's a lot of people's advice, is just to trust the process. I tell myself that all the time, and it's been a really important thing for me to learn over the years. I think on every single project I've ever worked on, there has always been a moment where I think it's impossible, and I think it just can't be done, and we can't figure it out, and it feels just like you can't do it. And always you do, always you make it to the end. And so that has been such an important thing in my journey as an editor, is learning to recognize that feeling and hitting that point where I think it's impossible and saying, oh, I know what this is. I know this is part of the process. I know this is how it goes. And so that's a piece of advice I would definitely share.